Hi. Okay, let's see. Where should I start?
The first film that I made was Letter to a Loved One. To be honest, I wanted to make a different film. More proper or traditional. I wrote a letter to my mum and wanted to use pictures from my childhood and add my voiceover. But then I reread the topic that it should be experimental, animated, or found footage, so got upset for a day or two. I still wanted to make the other film but not for class anymore. When it comes to experimental films, I was trying to think how I could define them, so thought of words such as confusing or weird. So I wanted to make that. But on the other hand, I know I am not this kind of person. In my world everything has to have a meaning. I didn't want to make the video too sentimental. The idea came from the poem that is just stuck in my head. I love poetry and these lines are one of my favorites. Because I lived in different places and travel a lot, I always end up saying a lot of goodbyes and sometimes they were really hard. But then I also remember the lines that say don't be sad, it is over, smile because it happened. So in a way, my video was showing to these people, to my loved ones, that I still remember them and think of them no matter where I am. It also shows how difficult it is to forget someone you used to be close to but now is gone from your life. The challenge never said write a letter to a loved one, and I didn't want to do it. I wanted to form a letter with the form of the film, and I think I succeeded. I wrote long passionate letters to most of the people that are included in the film, and they know the film is dedicated to them. I think it forms a letter because it is intimate and subjective and can be understood by the parties involved. When it is read by an outsider, it can be appreciated for its form but not content, as it is biased. When it comes to the aesthetics of the film, I wasn't inspired by anything in particular, or at least not consciously. It is actually quite similar to a video I made some time ago called Necessity. The gaps between the takes are meant to be like blinks of the eyes, and then when you open them, you bump into something that reminds you of someone special. Most of the takes are images of food. After showing the film in class, one of the comments was I thought it was a love letter to food, which I found quite funny and in some way is true. I do love food. And I shared a lot of food with my loved ones. I shot it on my phone because it is something I always have on me, and also because it is the thing I use to communicate with the people included in the film. I've heard that I could do something more with the soundtrack, but I kept the original sound so the film would be more real. I don't mean to be arty, but I just wanted to show everyday situations, and kind of a day of my life. So this is why the video starts in my room, then I go off to town, and come back. The last shot is set in my kitchen. Sure, the viewer might not be able to see it, but I know it, and people that are close to me and are a part of the film know it, and that was the intention of the film, to be personal and intimate. The next film I made was challenge number 2, which was What is Great Britain? Using only still images. I didn't want to make a personal film about my experience in the UK, I didn't want to be over-sentimental about the food here, traffic, amazing weather, and so on, because everyone knows how much I love these things. The first idea was actually a kind of provocation. I wanted to be very literal and have some voiceover reading facts about Great Britain combined with maps, flags, and so on. Then something a bit different, a similar voiceover but contrasting images, as the soundtrack would talk about the greatness of that country and the visuals would show the opposite. But that's not funny, that's boring. There are too many such things. And then I got talking to people, read articles, watched documentaries and other short videos. And well, even though I am not a black male that came to this country years ago, I am a foreigner. I am a white European, so I'm highly privileged, but at the same time I am an immigrant that's here to steal your job and at points don't feel very welcome in this country. That's my Great Britain. Then also, I really question what does it even mean to belong to one country, nation. You are born and raised in one place, your parents are from somewhere else, or something similar. I liked the comparison of maps of British colonies and then, for example, visas restrictions. It shows that most colonized countries need a permit to either work or even visit Great Britain. I wanted to show hypocrisy and indifference towards both past and present events. People in the UK complain about the increasing number of immigrants, however, thanks to them, country's economy is growing. To some extent it is a political film. I don't know the solution to migration policies, although I am against any kind of xenophobia and racism, and believe in freedom of movement. I find it ridiculous how one's origin can restrain their rights, even though we are all the same equal human beings. I watched many clips and videos on YouTube searching for ideas, and the one I used for my video I found very powerful. I decided to use it because I think that the guy makes some very good points. He is very passionate and makes you think. The images I chose go along with the voiceover but also work separately. I didn't want to use too much footage so the audience could easily follow the diagrams and other pictures. My next film was on human rights. This video was the shortest and the most simple that I made for this class, but probably the hardest to interpret. The challenge was not to use synchronization between image and sound. I didn't want to use images and a new separate soundtrack because I don't think it would show the idea behind this question. It wouldn't be experimental enough. So I looked up human rights and chose a few that interested me the most. The right to education was more about having a right to pursue education, the right to be schooled, but it got me thinking about something slightly different. I started thinking about history and its blank spots, how certain countries covered these issues or completely avoided mentioning them. I wanted to show this greater power over a regular citizen, manipulation and censorship. I do think I succeeded, even though when I showed the film to the class, I got confused looks and comments what I could have done to maybe make the video better. The desynchronization of the image and sound is easily visible, and that was my aim when it comes to the form of the video. I know I am not meant to make any excuses for myself, but I think I just got overexcited and wanted to push myself to make a new video every week. I probably should have put more work into it because I think it has potential. I probably will re-edit it when I get some free time. The next challenge was make a film that consists only of one take, and which addresses a political issue that concerns you. I was getting annoyed with myself because I couldn't come up with any ideas for this video. It was tricky because it had to be only one take. There are some political issues abroad that I am concerned about, but it would be difficult to make films about them. I started reading the news more often, and I'm guessing that was the idea behind this challenge too, to make us more aware of the current events. I found an article that I found quite funny. It was about a UKIP member complaining about European Union's regulations on toasters and saying that it's one of the reasons to exit Europe. The film is very simple, it's just me making toast. I included some inside jokes, or at least I tried, by using Polish bread and spreading jam on it, what I kind of connect to the idea of a French breakfast. So simply, the products I was using were supposed to be imported from Europe, or at least give this impression to the viewer. I didn't want to leave the video without any sound because I've been told that that's usually the weakest element in my videos. Most of the time I really dislike music in such films because it seems too cheesy or over the top or just doesn't fit in. But I also didn't want to use a voiceover because then it would be too similar to the video I made about Great Britain. I looked up songs that would be connected to Brexit and found something that I really liked and thought would fit the video. The length was perfect too, so it was just meant to be. I wanted to use the quote about toasters to help others read the film. Then, I decided to make a short list of pros and cons behind Brexit and read a lot of different articles searching for quotes that would be relevant. Some of them are lengthy, but I find them very important and interesting. I used people's names and professions to make the point of the video stronger. It's better to have academics, politicians, etc. as a source of information and then reference, than using only my own knowledge on the topic. I really like this film. It's very simple and cheeky, but on the other hand, it also talks about a very important issue that affects people in the UK. I was kind of hoping for a discussion after the film, but no one seemed to be too concerned about this subject. In my feedback I've heard that I didn't make a clear point on which side I am, but that was my intention, to show both sides, both pros and cons, because some people actually make some good points. Of course I am very biased because I come from outside, and as a European citizen Brexit can potentially affect me. My last film, the fifth one, was MultiCultural. I was struggling with this challenge mainly because I found the topic cliché. Or at least I didn't want to be cliché about it. I didn't want to make something that would be plain and boring. I was considering different ideas for days, but then started thinking more about the limitation for this video, mobile phone. I have made films on my phone before and actually enjoy their ugly quality, because, in a way, they seem more real to me. In this sense, making a film on my phone wasn't a challenge. Then I remembered what a phone can do and what a camera can't, filming vertically. This was the core idea for this project. Later, I started thinking about multiculturalism and how it is a mixture of different cultures coexisting together. And this is how the collage aesthetics came to me. What I had in mind at first changed throughout the project. It was supposed to be less selfish. I wanted to make a film about others. I had this idea of some sort of collage face made of different people. But, well, I don't have many friends who would be willing to take part in the film, and I also didn't feel like talking to people on the street. So I started editing footage from my travels and it kind of worked together. It was still not descriptive enough, so I had to make sure that the audience could understand my message better. I wrote a voiceover about my experience and feelings. Ironically, at the beginning I say that I don't want to make a film about London but end up talking about it anyway. The monologue is very much a stream of consciousness. I jump from one topic to another, making connections that are only understandable to me. Similarly with the use of language in further translation. I am very much aware of my privilege, but at the same time I am also bitter and spoiled, and the film probably shows these qualities better. Last summer I went backpacking for 3 months and wanted to make a film about my experiences and thoughts on traveling. How the world is becoming more and more globalized and how all these cultures and countries in my head blend it to one. I started editing it and bits of the MultiCultural film come from it. I didn't face any major problems when making my videos. With some it took me longer to come up with good ideas, but I kept reading on these topics and I watch many films in general, so I always have my eyes open to new things. I put all my films on Vimeo because I like having my projects neatly organized in one place. I also shared them on Facebook. I didn't really hear any constructive criticism, but only "hey, cool film" or "good job" or something similar. I didn't send them to festivals because I'm not sure if there are any that would accept such films. I am rather skeptical about it anyway, even though it sounds very exciting. I would love to relate to the readings from class, but my projects weren't inspired by any of them. I can say that I like that we had one from Joe Swanberg, because I met him some years ago and during his Q&A after Kissing on the Mouth, he said that he made this film right after film school and wanted to break away from everything he had learned there. And I think this class was about it as well. Forgetting the rules and recreating them. Making unconventional films that may look ugly but push you to look at things from different perspectives. It shows you that you can make films by any means. You don't need money or super amazing equipment to create something meaningful. I am not sure if this is something I have learned in this module because I've been making such videos for some time now. One of them was also inspired by the perfect human that was showed in the first class. This module for sure made me confident that there are people out there that don't care about plain fiction films and are happy to push boundaries of filmmaking. So I will continue to make guerrilla films because I find them much more enjoyable and real.
That's it for now.